Hi everyone, welcome back again to my channel. So we will talk more about the gender and society again. So after we've talked and discussed about the theoretical approaches in gender and society, let's now focus more on the gendered verbal communication. So just to give you a little bit background of this one, um, discrimination, labeling, and of course setting the norms and standards about gender is not just more on culture, not just more on action, and not just even more on your gender orientation, but just so you know, even in verbal communication, okay, even in the form of communication, we are all susceptible in any kind of discrimination. Okay, so now we are going to talk more about the linguistics that could affect your gender role as well. Okay, now in this discussion, we will divide our lessons into categories, which is the verbal communication expresses cultural views of gender and gendered styles of verbal communication. Now we're going to focus more first on the verbal communication expresses cultural views of gender. Now, under the verbal communication expresses culture views in gender, we will have six. Okay, six. Am I right? One, two, three, four, five. Yeah, I'm correct. Six semi categories. I really did this kind of discussion so that we will not be that lengthy in each content for this discussion, and of course you have the liberty to categorize your way of studying it, so it's not really that heavy in just one single content. So this will be the male generic language excludes women. Language defines men and women differently. Language shapes awareness. Language organizes perceptions of gender. Language evaluates gender. And language allows self-reflection. So basically, we will focus more first for this content on male generic language excludes women. Okay, so you have to always ask yourself when we're doing this, like, how do you understand the male generic language that excludes women? What do you think are the languages that might exclude the gender orientation of women, or even their presence by just simply reading a word or by just simply saying a word? Okay. Now, one way that language erases women is through the use of male generic language, which purports to include both women and men, yet refers only to men. So these are the examples of it. So I'm so sure you all know the terms here: businessman, spokesman, mailman, mankind. He as pronouns used to refer for both men and women. So this is one of the examples of male generic languages. We simply identify a certain job description or maybe a certain position or a certain situation wherein we uses he as the only pronoun for to generalize to everyone, because businessman could be also a woman. A spokesman could also be a woman. Okay, all right. So this is an example of it. Now, as you can see here, as per the research, it was confirmed that finding that male generic language leads many people to assume that only males are included. That's true. When I was still young, I also thought that a businessman could only be a man when I was still young, and I don't know anything about this one. In a particularly interesting study, students from first grade through college were asked to make up a story about an average student. When the instructions referred to the average student as he, only 12% of students composed a story about a female. Okay, so as you can see here, in a population of 100%, um, since the male generic language are very prevalent, only 12% of the students composed a story about a female, because they have this perception that, let's just say the story was all about a businessman or a mailman. The pronoun there is a man. So technically, most of the students there will likely to make a story about a man who is doing business. As what I've said earlier, I've also been like this. Like I really thought that a businessman could only be a man because of the term man, because at our young age we were taught of gender of nouns, masculine, feminine, male, female. So yeah. However, when instructions define the average student as he or she, 42% of the stories were about females. See, um, in the most general perspective, everyone, that one of the ways, one of our procedure to really eradicate gender biases and stereotypes is really education and the reduction of ignorance. If you're going to take a look at this one, this is a living proof that through education and through enlightenment and through right rationalization and in a morally right way, okay, uh, from 12% it increases to 42% of the students who wrote about female. So it's very important for you, not just as human beings but also for parents, for, I mean, even in the whole society, in the community, that at our young age we have to really, at a young age we have to really be educated when it comes to these kind of things, okay, because we are fostering the future of our community by really teaching and by really molding our young community to be the best versions of them in the most positive way. And yet, through education we can really do that. It might really need a lot and a lot of process, but then again it will be really worth it. Okay, now because there is convincing evidence that male language is not perceived as generic, all the major dictionaries and national newspapers now avoid it. There are already businessmen and businesswomen, okay, policemen and policewomen. All right, so yeah, in addition, new dictionaries and writing style manuals caution against other ways of defining men as the standard and women as the exception. Okay, spotlighting, for example, is a practice of highlighting a person's sex. Terms such as lady doctor and woman lawyer define women as the exception in professions and thereby reinforce the idea that men are the standard, which is not supposed to be happening. Okay, men are no special and women are no special. Everyone is equal. Everyone is a form of standard. Everyone is a norm. Okay, and I think that's really the reason why the more they always thought that okay, I'll give you an example. For example, when a man is sitting at the bus and the woman is standing, they say according to our norms that you have to give way to that woman to give her that seat and you stand as a gentleman. I don't really see equality there personally, because if there's equality there, then you are letting that woman feel special. Okay, and it's a cultural driven norm that men should always give way for women. I mean, personally, I always believe that everyone should be equal. Men also have their feelings, they're also tired and they have to see it. Women are also humans, they feel tired and they also have to see it. I think it's not supposed to be a gender role to be gentleman, but it's supposed to be a human nature that, you being as a respectful person, not being as a man, you let that woman sit on that seat and you stand up, not because you're a man, not because of cultural norms that you're a man and you should give way to women, but because you have to do that because you are a kind person, you respect that woman, you are doing an extra mile for morality there. Okay, so that is one of the examples of spotlighting. Okay, so we sometimes see situations like that in social medias before, like a male is trending because he doesn't really give respect to a woman just because of a seat in a public transpo. I don't really think that's what you call gender equality and feminism in the first place. I mean, gender equality is not giving so much issues on whether who sits or stands. Okay, so again, it should not be driven, being respectful should not be driven by your gender norms. It should be driven by humanness, by your kindness, by your moral ethics and procedures. Okay. All right. Okay. So now, thank you again, guys, and everyone for really listening to this lesson. By the way, I would highly appreciate if you subscribe to my channel and hit that like button, of course, and also the bell button for you to really receive notifications whenever I upload new videos. We will have more of this video since this will be a series type of video. We will have more discussion about the verbal communication when it comes to gender linguistics. Bye. Thank you.